Firstly, apologies, Saners, no live tonight. Just got back from the Bentley Social, which was just a great event. We sold that out. Good 250 Saners there, so thank you all for coming. It was a really awesome experience. Unfortunately, we couldn't cap that night off with a win. We went down by 6 points, 64-70 to Collingwood. But don't stress, we're still 4-1. We're still top of the table. But the game itself, it was a bit of an arm wrestle. It wasn't the cleanest game. It wasn't, I guess, the easiest game to watch because there was a lot of stop-start. It was a lot of stoppages, a lot of mistakes. And I see that as two really good teams that are really good at pressure and really good at structuring behind the ball, making it very difficult for each other. So I don't think it was the sort of bad game where you see two bottom teams and they don't know how to kick the footy and they have no plan. I think this is two teams that have such a good plan that it just, both plans are so good that it makes it difficult for the opposition to get through. And we did that. We stopped Collingwood for the most part, going through the middle. They wanted to do that all day. We did well there. They know that we like to go wide. They clogged up those positions and outmarked us a lot. Darcy Moore killed us in the air for the majority of the time. But what I really liked about this game, and I mean, it's obvious we lost, so there are some negatives. We started pretty fast. The only thing that I take out of this game is that I don't think we're far off it. I think, some Saners might overreact in this situation, but I'm really, really keeping the lid on in a good way with this game. I think this was that sort of barometer test for us, the litmus test, if you will, and we came up 6 points short. They did outplay us for a big portion of the second half. I'll give it that. They really pressed us, and maybe 12 months ago that game ends differently and we lose by a much, much bigger margin. But this St Kilda team has structure behind the ball, knows how to just cop pressure after pressure. And our backline, again, stood up. We only conceded the 70 points against one of the highest scoring teams in the competition that just kick goals for fun every week. So the fact that we did that, that's a big tick. I thought that we managed the game really well for 2.5 quarters. I think there were patches of the game where we didn't know whether to go for it or whether to just absorb what Collingwood were giving us and when to just change the gears. And with Collingwood, they're a very seasoned team. They're very comfortable in their game plan and they're obviously a bit more experienced than us. They knew at the start of the fourth, we're going to go. We're going to go now and put the gears up and really go for the win. And they did that. It took us probably 5-6 minutes too late to really shift to that gear. And you saw in the last 5 minutes, we kicked 3 goals straight and nearly pinched a draw in the end, which would have been outrageous. The Bentley Social was going off with 50 seconds to go. And I'm thinking 2 minutes ago, we were 24 points down. How is this even possible? So I think on that front, you kind of look at it and go, we gave it a fair hit. We really did challenge Collingwood. They didn't play their game by any means. You look at every Collingwood game this year. Even last week, there were times where they just opened the Lions up. Obviously, they lost by 5 goals last week. They're off on the rebound. They're a high-scoring team. They're probably one of the flag favourites. They definitely are, in my view, as probably the best team in the competition. And we took it up to them for a lot of the game. Each quarter, you look at it, it was 2 goals each at quarter time, 4 goals each at half time. I think it was 6 goals each at 3/4 time. Full time, 10 goals to 9. It was literally the first 15 minutes of the fourth. That's where we lost it. I thought that it was a bit disappointing that we didn't get to take as much advantage out of that ruck dominance as Brisbane did. I really thought Rowe was going to own that position. And to be fair, Collingwood, I think in the first 10 minutes, they started the game with 6 clearances to 2 their way. But then I think midway through the third, I saw the clearances and it was 17-9 our way. I have no idea what it finished on, but we seemed to get a bit more of the ball there. I thought that the backline stood up. I thought the midfield was pretty good. Brad Crouch was enormous, especially late in the game. I thought that the key issue for us was obviously going forward, we just didn't have those targets. Caminiti battled, kicked a couple of goals. Filippo kicked a goal, I think. Cordy was subbed off and Bytel came on for the last quarter and he was quiet again, Cordy. So you'd imagine that if Caminiti gets off and doesn't get suspended for his hit on Murphy, that Membry comes in, Cordy goes out. But if so, maybe Caminiti comes out for his suspension, Membry comes in, and Cordy remains, luckily enough. So I wouldn't make too many changes next week, apart from, getting the guns back in Membry and Steele for Carlton. But I think this just further establishes that what we're doing is working and we're on the right track. This game was a very, very tough game for us. Collingwood off the rebound. We're missing some key players. Obviously, Jordan Go is a laid out for them, so they were missing some key players as well, on top of Howe and Cameron and Cox and these sort of guys. Ginnivan came back in, and he was pretty effective. I just think they took their chances a bit more in the last quarter when it really mattered. We kicked a lot of points. I think at one point we were 1-6 in the last quarter or something, or there was a passage where we kicked a lot of points. So, we could have been cleaner around the ball. I think our transition out of the back line was pretty solid. I didn't see much, in terms of, issue with that structure. I think there were times where we probably should have stayed wide and we went back inboard, and that's where you turn it over to Collingwood, and it gets very dangerous because they're going to eat you up if you give them any sort of chances through the guts. And I think for the most part, we stifled that. They just had 10 minutes of very, very good football, kicked their goals when they needed them to. Even Elliott, they're on the run. 9 times out of 10, you probably nick the post there or you just miss the kick, but he kicked it. There were just goals there that when you're at the top of your game, they just go in. And Collingwood had that for 10 minutes. And that's really what separated the two teams. I thought they were on top in the third, but we battled hard and got it to within under a goal. And yeah, they just took their chances late. But overall, I'm not disheartened at all. I just want to put that out there for a lot of Saints watching. I feel very, very good about next week. I think if we bring that same intensity, maybe just tidy up the skills a little bit, get Steele and Membry in, we're in for a very, very big chance against Carlton, who again are on the rebound, so that's going to be difficult. But we've come a long way. We've come a very, very long way. Look at the players that are missing. You look at the players that are in the team and who stood up, and the opposition that we faced, and what we thought the year was going to be like pre-round one. If you had told me you're going to be 4-1 after round 5, you're going to lose to Collingwood, but only by 6 points, and you're going to be top of the ladder going into round 6 against Carlton, I'd be like, I'm bloody well taking that. Absolutely. Obviously, I'm upset that we didn't win, but Collingwood are, they're a very, very good team. So for us to juggle what they threw at us, but then also to throw some back, which we did. We didn't just take it. We didn't sit there and let Collingwood dictate the game. We played the game on our terms. There were patches where, 5-10 minute patches in the first and second quarter where the game was firmly on our terms. So we took it to them. We did. We did not make it easy for them. I'm sure McRae in his press conference will be very complimentary to the way we played, and I'm sure their players will say that was a bloody hard game. We're very glad that the siren sounded, because if there was 5 minutes to go, who knows, maybe that fitness was kicking in. Maybe we just decided to start running a bit more. Because I think that was the one part of the game that was lacking for me, is the boys, run, spread. That's our skill. That's what separates us from the opposition. Collingwood were drawing us into the contest. I thought Collingwood would prefer it on the outside. But I think when the game was on the outside, that's when I felt most comfortable. When the game was in tight, congestion, ugly, Collingwood were excelling there. And for the most part, the game was like that. There were only patches where we could get it out and running. And that was really, the start of the game, and then right at the end of the game where we kicked goals and got within 6 points with 50 seconds to go. So I think we're on the right track. I wouldn't be disheartened. We played a very good team. It's round 5. I've got perspective that it's a long season, no real injuries, and I'm ready to go against Carlton. So it's weird to have a loss, and I'm kind of just, saying bring on next week, because we didn't fear them. We didn't fear them. We weren't overawed by them. And that's what I was looking at in this game was, is there a clear gap between us and Collingwood? Clear, that we're so far off that we're not going to compete. We're not in their league. And you look at that game and you go, even as a neutral, I would imagine, you'd look at that game and go, shit, these are two pretty decent teams. Like, they're two teams going at it. Collingwood had phases where they were well on top, but we also had phases where we could stifle that, and we just absorbed it like a really strong team, and we weren't overawed by it. We didn't panic. When fire was in our face, we didn't panic that, oh shit, this is getting out of hand. Wilkie was clean down back. I thought he was great. Battle was good, but he made some mistakes. The midfield was good. Hunter Clark, I haven't mentioned him, But just before we wrap up this video, Hunter Clark, bloody hell, that first half was impressive. Some of the stuff that he was doing was amazing. So it's great to see Hunter Clark standing up in a really big game against a very good midfield. And, Nick Dacos had 42, but I really firmly believe that we just were focusing on our game, and I didn't look like we tried to put a tag on him or anything. And their small stood up when they needed to. Bobby Hill, Ginnivan, and Elliott, and McCreary, I believe. They kicked about 6 goals between them out of the 10. So the smalls really did get the chocolates. And Butler and Higgins, I think they kicked only the 1 between them. Butler was pretty quiet in the end, which was disappointing after his last couple of weeks that have been really good. So, Collingwood had more targets. They took their chances when they needed to, and we didn't. So I think that's kind of where the game was decided. Apart from that, I think we come out of it pretty good, and if anything, we learn, and we really just had a really good upfront sort of review on what a top team looks like, what to expect, and what is required if you want to become a top team. So I think we'll take a lot out of this, and that's what I love, is that, yes, it's a loss, but no doubt Ross, you could tell at the end, he was smiling. He's probably thinking, bloody hell, look at the team I'm fielding. Some of these players have never, this is their first year. They weren't on a list 6 weeks ago, whatever it was. And he's like, and we just got within a kick of Collingwood, we're doing all right. So it's not panic stations when Ross Lyon is smiling with a loss, incoming. So I think I'll watch his presser now, and it'll be interesting. But I think he'll be pretty happy with the boys' effort. Obviously, there's a few little things that you can improve on, but this was the first time we faced probably the best pressure team outside of ourselves in the competition. And I think for the most part, we stood up, and there were just, a couple of lapses there that cost us in the end. So I'm taking, more positives out of it than anything. I think it establishes that what we're doing is on the right track, and Ross is really building a team that can handle the heat and handle finals like football. And hopefully we make finals, because I think if we do, we've got the style that can really stand up in September. So obviously it's only round 5. We're not going to think about September, too early in the season, but let's focus on Carlton now. And if we bring what we did today with a bit more sort of polish, I really believe that we can get a result there. So I'll leave it there, Sainers. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for watching my review. Thanks for coming to the Bentley Social. 250 of you sold the place out. It was packed. It was amazing to see. It makes me feel just really bubbly inside, and really proud of what the channel has become, and the fact that we can all connect to the Bentley Social and have a good time despite the loss makes it even better. So thank you very much for that. We'll be back with the podcast tomorrow night. I'll be back with Saints TV Weekly tomorrow, and then obviously Saints TV Live Tuesday night, and then a big lead up into the Sunday Arvo game against the Blues. That's going to be a ripper. Collingwood and then Carlton. Massive couple of weeks. Bring it on. If you enjoy this video, obviously comment your thoughts, leave your thoughts on the game, how you're feeling, your pros, your cons, all that sort of stuff. Put it in the comments and I'll respond when I can. And most importantly, please subscribe. Let's get to 7K in the next month. That would be amazing. So I'll leave it there, Sainers. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. And as always, go you mighty Sainers. See you guys.